What is up, TFA fam? Hope you're doing well. Hope your week 8 is off to a good start, off to a solid start. Got a good game going on right now, so we're gonna try and bang through this as quick as we can. Give you guys the first look at the week 8 waiver wire and some streaming options. So, Kev, let's just jump right into it, man. You have quarterback. Go ahead, throw up that graphic and tell us who your picks are here for the top streaming quarterbacks for week 8.
Yeah, so I mean, there's not a lot of great options this week. I think most people have kind of got on to the Justin Herberts and the Joe Burrows. A lot of those guys are gone in most leagues. If they are, then yeah, those would be the guys that I want to target. But this is wrong. way to start out. Because it has Gardner Minshew on it, who is not. What a way to start.
And Andy Dalton as well.
Andy Dalton, I'll talk about. Whatever. Fuck it. Gardner Minshew's not available, so he is on bye this week. But Andy Dalton, I left him on there for the reason of if he's able to come back, if he's able to play. Okay. I would assume that he's not, but they are playing this week against the Eagles. But you'd have to be super fucking desperate to be playing Andy Dalton anyway. So I wouldn't recommend it, but I threw him on there in the event that he is able to play. But for me, it's Teddy Bridgewater. They get Atlanta. It's a fantastic matchup. He played really well today against the Saints. And then this week he gets Atlanta. He completed 23 of 28 passes for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, and average a pretty impressive 9.1 yards per attempt. So I just really like Teddy Bridgewater. Jimmy G, I think, is another option. He did not play that well today, but they didn't really need him to. They played the Patriots, and I mean they were able to just pretty much do whatever they wanted against them. All their scores were via the ground, but he did average a pretty impressive 11.1 yard per attempt. He completed 20 of 25 passes for 277 yards. He did have 2 interceptions. One was in the side of the red zone, but going against Seattle, you can throw against that defense. The week before, Jimmy G had over. I think it was 3 touchdowns, nearly 300 yards. So I think this is another week where he can bounce back. So I do like him in this matchup. Kirk Cousins is coming off the bye. He's been pretty solid for most of the year. He's had a couple. He's had at least 16.9 fantasy points in 4 of his in those last 4 games. And if you go back, we've seen this matchup once before. Week 1, he did drop 25.7 fantasy points against Green Bay. You can throw against Green Bay. So I think that this is going to be another matchup where, they're going to be forced to throw the ball coming off the bye. So you feel pretty good about guys like Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Dalvin Cook should also be back in this game, or at least that's the belief that he should be back. So that was kind of why they held him out, so he could sit out for 2 weeks. So Dalvin should also be back. And then a couple more. Baker Mayfield. Absolutely just crushed today, right? And what was even more impressive about the performance was Odell Beckham, which we'll talk about, when we get to the wide receivers. I went out really early in that game, and it looks like actually Odell Beckham's done for the year. It looks like he suffered a significant knee injury and is likely done for the year. But even in the face of that, Baker completed 22 of 28 passes, almost 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, and an interception. Which is really going to boost his, because previously coming into this game, he was 10 touchdowns to 6 INTs. So this is a great matchup going against the Raiders. You can definitely throw on the Raiders. So I do like this matchup for them, for him. We'll see how the rest of the pieces kind of work together. Austin Hooper obviously was out in this game. Harrison Bryant stepped up, had 2 really nice touchdowns. And then, we saw the emergence of Rashard Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones, which we'll talk about when we get to wide receivers. So I do like Baker. And then Derek Carr. Listen, when I would look at Derek Carr, honestly, I didn't realize. I mean, the dude has been kind of quietly impressive for somebody that's only been owned in just under 30% of fantasy league.
Yeah.
He has 4 straight 20 fantasy point performances this year. Had a great game today. 284 yards, 2 touchdowns against a really good Bucs defense. So I was actually really surprised with how well Derek Carr. I mean, if you look at his numbers, I mean, he's played really well, and he doesn't have a ton of it's not like he has great weapons. I mean, today he was doing it with Nelson Aguilar, and guys like that. So. I think as long as Derek Carr continues to play like this, I think he's certainly somebody that people should be looking to roster.
Yeah, there was a little tilting for me because I had the under 273.5 passing yards for Carr, because I just didn't think there was going to be any way he could do it against that defense. And alas, here we are. He like 73% completion percentage. He's been really solid, like you said, especially considering he's throwing to Hunter Renfrow and Nelson Aguilar, and it's not like he has a star-studded cast around him. So let's go ahead and jump over to running back, and you can hit us off with these ones here. Tell us who is in your priority as you have a secondary tier here and your deeper leagues. So go ahead and run through these, and we'll talk about running backs.
Yeah, so it's not like a great week for, at least for the running back position, but for me, Jeff Wilson, who honestly came out of nowhere to get these touches today. Like, I mean, I wasn't really expecting that big of a workload for Jeff Wilson, who absolutely crushed. But he left the game on his third touchdown. It was carted off the field with an ankle injury. So you hate to see it. They've already lost Mostert. So with Hasty kind of took over as kind of the lead back there. So, I think he's worth a waiver ad, honestly. And honestly, I think there's another guy too who I didn't put him on the list mainly because I don't know if he's going to be activated this week or not. But if he is, Tevin Coleman is available to come off the IR, and if he is, he could be somebody that maybe people would want to roster as well, because right now they're pretty much down to, with the loss of those two backs, Jermichael Hasty and Jerick McKinnon. So, and Jerick McKinnon really wasn't utilized at all today. I was really kind of surprised about that. But like I said, I think if Tevin Coleman's back, I would probably move. He would definitely be on this list as well. But for me, Jermichael Hasty, he's somebody that a lot of people really liked heading into this year, kind of under the radar type guy that drew a lot of praise out of preseason, but just really hasn't had a ton of opportunities. But I mean, he did play well in the limited opportunities he had. He carried the ball 9 times for 57 yards and had 1 target for 16 yards. So I do think Hasty is definitely worth a look, especially if you're hurting at running back this week. Zach Moss, I could probably have him higher. I could have him lower, or I could have him lower on this list probably. But he did return today and had 5 carries, I think, for 47 yards. It wasn't a ton of work. But my thing is that Devin Singletary has really just been ass. Like he was bad again today, against this Jets defense. So now that Zach Moss has returned, like I wouldn't be surprised if he takes over this backfield at some point. He's also the better pass catcher than Devin Singletary. So if Zach Moss is out there, I think he's worth an ad. He's rostered in 46% of leagues. Wayne Gallman, like I didn't think I'd be putting Wayne Gallman on any list this year, but here we are. Devonta Freeman got hurt in the Thursday night game. We'll have to see what his availability is, but he had an ankle injury, did not play really the second half. And Wayne Gallman, I'm not gonna lie, he looked better than what Devonta Freeman did. I mean, he showed some explosion. He just looked better against a really good Philadelphia defense. So if he's out there, we need running backs, and they get a great matchup this week against I was thinking of the Eagles, but yeah. So, but with him, we'll see what happens. But to be honest with you, it's tough to trust, because at the same time, this backfield is not good. This offensive line is still terrible. So it's not something I'm going to put invest a lot in with Wayne Gallman. But I do think if he's out there and you need help at running back, I think it's a direction you could go. And then Damian Harris, he played really well today too. The only problem with him is that he was pretty much game scripted out, right? Like the Patriots got absolutely crushed. Again, really, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. Cam Newton doesn't look like the answer. And really, I don't know if you can really blame him. I know there's going to be a lot of blames put towards Cam and everything else, but this offense is fucking trash. Like could you give anybody any worse? In terms of weapons. And I bet Brady's chilling down in Tampa, just be like, hey, I told you guys that, and that's why he didn't come back. I mean, the guy's out here with just a bunch of bums. Like, honestly, can you tell me a worse offense is the Jets offense worse than this? I don't know. Like, when healthy, like I think that you could make a case. I don't know. But regardless of that, the Patriots offense is terrible. But if Damian Harris is out there, 41%, if he's out there, I think he's at least worth a look if this team can, figure something out offensively. And then LaMichael Pirine, I really don't feel great about. He is, plays for the Jets, but he was impressive today. I guess he was the best of the shit that they have there with this offense. I mean, it's another terrible situation, but he is the much younger back drafted this year. So we'll see with LaMichael Pirine. I don't love it. I'm not going to go out and waste a high waiver priority to add LaMichael Pirine. And I just think that he is somebody that, any running back is worth rostering that, that's going to get any sort of role. And then you have the secondary tier. Now we're going to have to monitor something because Chris Carson left the game with a foot injury. And that's why, I made this prior to that happening. So I do have Carlos Hyde in the secondary tier. And if we find out that Chris Carson is going to be out for a long-term stint, I would probably have to move Carlos Hyde up to the top of this list just because of how explosive that offense is. Not so much that Carlos Hyde is a monster, but anytime you can get a running back on an elite offense, you're going to go after that. So we'll have to monitor, see what's going on with Chris Carson, if this is going to be a long-term thing or not. If not, then I think you probably keep him down here. And then some of the other options, Naheem Hines and PPR formats, I think is fine. J.D. McKissick, same thing. Both just PPR options. Benny Snell is basically insurance for anything that happens to James Conner because, let's face it, James Conner is a walking injury waiting to happen. And for whatever reason, I was tilting my face off today because, of course, Benny Snell gets the short goal line touchdown today and takes it away from James Conner, which would have otherwise been a good day. Gus Edwards, I guess we'll have to see what happens with Mark Ingram. Is he going to be back? He should be back this week. He did get injured the last time they played, but they are coming off a bye. Tony Pollard, again, I wouldn't really trust this entire Dallas offense, but if he's out there, then you have some deeper league guys like Brian Hill, Anthony McFarland, Royce Freeman, Philip Lindsay left today, so he could be an option for somebody. Corey Clement, Matt Breida, Devontae Booker. I mean, these guys, you have to be in 16-team leagues to be looking at some of these dudes like Eno Benjamin and Devin Azigbo. So other than that, I think that's pretty much the list.
That is quite the list as well. But like you said, nothing. That's how I felt when I was going through mine as well. Nothing that really stood out to me as all right, this is a really good week for this or a really good week for that. So with that out of the way, I'll just go ahead and jump into the wide receiver waiver wire. Now there is a name that I left off this list that I should probably have in the second tier here, and that is Denzel Mims. But going back up to the top, just want to make sure I didn't forget his name. But going up to the top, Cole Beasley, Brandon Ayuk, Sterling Shepard. Cole Beasley, we talked about him on the Sunday show today this morning, whenever we got a question. I can't remember who it was between, but we were talking about Cole Beasley. Rostered in 40% or less in both ESPN and Yahoo leagues. He had a second 100-yard game of the year, went 11 catches for 112 yards. And he's steadily he's either had a touchdown or at least 40, 50 yards in every single game this week. So with John Brown out, who knows if we're not sure if he's going to be out next week yet or not. Another injury that we had was Deebo Samuel. Looked like a hamstring injury. Brandon Ayuk. This is where the analysis for Brandon Ayuk begins and ends. Seattle. You talked about Jimmy Garoppolo being a really nice ad for quarterback this week as one of your top streamers. Brandon Ayuk falls right into that, especially if that target distribution is going to be even less with Deebo Samuel potentially missing time. And then Sterling Shepard available in 36%. He's only rostered in 36% of ESPN leagues and 28% of Yahoo leagues. It was his first game back on Thursday, and he was already second on that team in targets. I think he had 8 to Evan Ingram's 9, and then nobody else on that team had more than 5. Second tier, who I'm looking at, Corey Davis. Wasn't a great day. He only had six catches for 35 yards, but that touchdown did help his fantasy numbers. 22 and 28% roster in ESPN and Yahoo leagues, respectively. Kendrick Bourne, same thing. If you need a deeper ad, he's going to be available. like I said, with Debo, we're gonna have to wait and see what that timeline is gonna be. But after Kittle and Ayuk, really not a lot of target competition there. Greg Ward, the Eagles just can't catch a break, man. And you were talking either last week or the week before, whenever people were talking about, should I drop Wentz, and you were cautioning them to not do so because of the schedule that they have coming up. So Greg Ward available, I only rostered rather in 12% of ESPN leagues and 7% of Yahoo leagues. So you can definitely look to add him there. You were talking about the Odell Beckham injury. We saw Rashard Higgins pop off for over 100 yards. Donovan Peoples-Jones caught the game-winning touchdown. They're both completely available. But you can. There's no league really that they're going to be rostered in, so they're widely available. We were talking beforehand, Kev, and you were asking where I was going to have Donovan Peoples-Jones. I said I was going to have him lower than Rashard Higgins. You like the athleticism with DPJ, the rookie coming out of Michigan. I like the fact that there's rapport already between Higgins and Mayfield, so we'll just have to wait and see on that. Gabe Davis, again, if he had a touchdown that was wiped away, I think he only had like he only had one catch for 11 yards. But like I said, he also had the touchdown that was wiped away. If John Brown is going to be out, Gabe Davis is someone you can add, especially in deeper leagues. And then Preston Williams, only rostered in 36% of ESPN leagues, 21% of Yahoo leagues. And then just some deeper names you can think about here. Demarcus Robinson, Keelan Cole, Golden Tate, KJ Hamler with Tim Patrick potentially missing time going forward. Darnell Mooney still widely available. Jalen Reagor, if you have the room to stash him. Same thing with Alan Lazard. And then Deontay Johnson came back, had a really nice game, got injured again. So you can look at James Washington, Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Pascal. Anyone that I did not mention that you think needs to be brought up here?
A couple of things. One, I do want to mention that Deontay Johnson actually came back into the game after that happened. So he got hurt, and then he sat out of play, and then he actually came back. Because on the last play that they had the ball, he actually came back. He was actually on the field whenever I believe they threw an interception, and that would happen. Yes. Big Ben threw an interception down on the goal line. I remember, and Deontay Johnson was actually coming along on a slant. What the hell's a slant? A slant route. And so Deontay Johnson came back into the game. So I think Deontay Johnson's going to be fine because he absolutely balled today. 15 targets, exactly kind of what we talked about in the pregame show this morning about why I was a little bit lower on Chase Claypool than other people, and I had Deontay Johnson higher, is because whenever Deontay Johnson's out there, the dude gets absolutely peppered with targets. So I know a lot of people are tilting that all spent a lot of money and we're really enjoying the ride of Chase Claypool, but I think that's probably coming to an end. Or not, I shouldn't say coming to an end, but I think he's going to be hit or miss. And I don't know if somebody I could trust. I do want to mention, you talked about Donovan Peoples-Jones. For people that just don't know who Donovan Peoples-Jones is, he was drafted this year, came out of Michigan, but the dude absolutely crushed the combine whenever he came out and really surprised a lot of people. People were not expecting him to do as well as he did in terms of the combine, but he's 6'2", 212. But he has a 71st percentile 4.48. He also has 86th percentile speed score and a 99th percentile burst score. So the athleticism is all there for Donovan Peoples-Jones. Will he be able to put it together? I don't know, but we saw, he did catch that game-winning 24-yard pass, which was a really nice play by him. We'll see how this works. Now, I do agree that Higgins definitely has rapport with Baker Mayfield, but Peoples-Jones is probably definitely the more athletic option and somebody that I think in deeper formats that maybe you should have some interest in. And then you also, Jalen Reagor, I just want to mention him, that he shed his cast this week and he's actually catching passes. So it shouldn't take him very long to get back on the field because it's not like it's a lower leg injury where you're going to want to work him back in slowly or anything like that. I think once his arm is good to go, which could really be this week, he can be back. They may end up holding him out because I believe they go on bye after this week. Week 9, I believe, is their bye. So they could end up opting to hold him out to week 10. But, as we know, despite the fact of how bad the Cowboys have looked, because that's who they play, the Eagles need to win this game. This is the worst division in football. It is not particularly close, but they have an opportunity to kind of seize control of this to seize control of this division. And I think, if they can get a guy like Jalen Reagor back, early, I think that could be an option. So with that being said, if Jalen Reagor's out there, I would definitely look to stash him. And then also, last but not least, the disrespect for Keelan Cole. Yes, he did not have a great game today, but in deeper league do you know where do you think Keelan Cole right now ranks among all wide receivers? Where do you think? Just a guess.
I will say wide receiver 32.
Heading in today, he was wide receiver 19.
Yeah, well.
And you have that man as a deeper league
on
ad
every
only.
dog's ass.
I don't understand your hate for Keelan Cole. It is ridiculous. You need to remove your take lock. Keelan Cole is the truth, okay? And
he was averaging like 40 yards per game up until last week. So let's
right now,
the brakes.
27 receptions, 350 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Okay. I'm going to spike on that. Move on to tight ends.
Hey, you're absolutely allowed to spike on that because I remember laughing at you whenever you're bringing up Keelan Cole. But he is a deeper league hat just because I just don't think you can trust him. He had the safe floor, and outside of that one, the game, what was that, last week, where he absolutely went off. He has been an 8-point kind of fantasy play unless he scores a touchdown. But anyway, gross week with tight end here. Eric Ebron is still available in half of your leagues. He'd probably be my top ad here. Drew Sample, only 2% rostered. You can look there. He had, I think, 5 for 50 today. I mean, nothing I feel great about. The 2 Cleveland tight ends. Now, Austin Hooper did have appendicitis, I guess, with his surgery, so it looks like he's going to be out for week 8 as well. But David Njoku, Harrison Bryant. Harrison Bryant had the 2 touchdowns. He had, I think, 5 or 6 targets to Njoku's 3. They're both going to be involved. Njoku had a touchdown as well. They obviously combined for 3 of Baker's 5 or 6 touchdowns. So you can look to add them. Irv Smith, available in basically every single league. He's only rostered in 2% of leagues. So you can look there as well. And then basically all of the Indianapolis Colts tight ends. I didn't put them on the list because I have no idea what to do, especially if all 3 are going to be healthy and involved. But they are out there. If we get any kind of sense, any kind of report of how they're going to be used going forward this week, that might be able to help us kind of sort out who the ad is. It looked like it was Trey Burton. He was being used in really some creative ways, especially compared to the other 2 tight ends. But Mo Alley Cox was out in week 6, and now they should all be healthy coming back in week 8. So if it gets super gross out there, you can look to add one of those 3 Colts tight ends.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say. The tight end position is gross. I think Harrison Bryant is interesting. I think the dude can be an absolute beast, in the NFL. It was nice to see the 2 touchdowns that he got today. I do think against the Raiders, it could be a direction that we look to go. But I do really like Irv Smith as well. If you're looking for a tight end, I think you could, Irv Smith's production and his usage has kind of ticked up every single week. And so, coming off the bye, I do like Irv Smith quite a bit. And so I would probably have him probably second on this list if it was me. But we'll see on that. And then I think the other one would probably be that you could possibly look at would be Albert O. So Noah Fant, he's not healthy. Like he got hurt again today. Like he shouldn't even. I don't even know what the dude was even doing out there for Denver. He just does not look right. He had 1 long catch and he had real trouble getting off the field afterwards. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play again this next week. But Albert O certainly has a rapport with Drew Lock. Obviously, they were college teammates together, and that was his favorite That was his favorite target in college, and he's continually starting to see more and more targets. So I do not mind that as well as an option for people kind of looking for a tight end this week. They get the Chargers in week 8, so we'll see what happens there. And last but not least, but I did want to mention this, and I do want to say this. I am somebody who truly believes that, you could celebrate your victories, but you should also bring up your misses. And I want to say that I definitely missed today on Jamal Williams. I kind of went on a little bit of rant how I thought that he was not going to be as involved as what people thought. And I certainly missed on that because he ended up with 20 touches. And had 20 fantasy points today. So it was a good outing from him. He got there late on a kind of garbage time touchdown, but still, it was still a good performance from him. He got the majority of the touches. I don't think A.J. Dillon did anything. So I just wanted to mention that I was lower on that today, and I just wanted to call myself out for being wrong on Jamal Williams.
Hey, there has to be accountability, right?
100%. If whatever you listen to, whether it's a pod or YouTube, whatever it is, if those people are always talking about what they hit and never talk about what they miss, you should just quit listening to it, because I think that's poor process. We should always be reviewing, what we were doing and what we got wrong and what we got right. So,
absolutely. Real quick before we get out of here, we do have 2 running back questions. Miles Woodward wants to know, should I trade Zeke? I mean, right now, I don't think is the time to trade him. I really don't know what kind of return you're going to get back for him, especially if they're down to Ben DiNucci at quarterback. I just don't know what kind of value. If you can get anything close to fair value, I would probably look into it. But right now, I think you're just going to get low ball offers. So that's not. I would wait until he has even just a solid game, and then maybe look to move him then.
Yeah, I mean, and this was a terrible matchup too against Washington.
Yeah, missing with Dallas missing 2 of their linemen.
And Washington front 7 has been absolutely terrific this year. They've been really good and done a really good job. I think this is a team, if they can really find the Washington football team, if they can find a quarterback, I think that'd be fun. But I do want to say the Bostic dude just absolutely did my man Andy Dalton dirty. I mean, he just destroyed that man. I think his soul came out of his body after that hit that he took. But I don't know. We'll have to see if Andy Dalton's able to play. But to be honest with you, no, I don't think you can trade Zeke, because I don't think you're going to get anything for him, at least for fair value. And I feel like you're just giving him away at that point. So I think you just hold on and hope that they're able to turn this thing around. And or I have seen a lot of people today talk about that the Cowboys are going to trade for Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I guess wouldn't shock me if they did, because with now Tua taking over as a starter. But I don't know. I think that'd be fun for fantasy purposes, because they still have all the weapons there.
Yeah. What Jesus of Potatoes? What should he or she do with Kenyon Drake?
He's back. He's back, isn't he? He's back to looking like a fucking scrub. I think. I mean, he is. It's kind of what we talked about today, right? When I mentioned that it really worried me, because Dallas's defense is terrible, and I felt like that. Looking at him, that he was going to turn back a little bit more into Kenyon Drake, and so far tonight he has 10 carries for 20 yards, 1 reception for 7 yards. Chase Edmonds 5 for 73. Through the air. So Kenyon Drake once again cannot run the football. I don't know what. I mean, you really can't do anything with him at this point, because you can't get rid of him. You're not gonna be able to drop him. I don't think it's smart to drop. You should never drop a starting running back. But I think it is what it is at this point. I think you just gotta hold on to it, and you play him on decent weeks, which this was one of them. And tonight you hope he finds the end zone. And if he doesn't, I think then you look to. I just don't think you can trade him, because I don't think you're going to get a whole lot for him.
Yeah, agreed. Max wants to know the top buy lows of the week. We will be having a new video coming at you guys, and we will be dropping either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, where we are going to record a buy sell. So we'll have we'll have that information for you a little later in the week. So be on the lookout for that. Max also has Chris Carson, who we were just talking about, who went down. Would you drop Ingram for Hyde?
I mean, I think you could, but at this point, but I wouldn't. I mean, unless you can do it now. I mean, I would wait because I don't know how the severity of this with Chris Carson is. It could end up being something that's very minor, and he's back next week. So, I wouldn't put too much stock into it right now.
Yeah, we just don't have the information, but I think Ingram is droppable in general just because of the three-headed mess of that backfield. Last question here from Matt Palmer, then we're going to get out of here. Should I trade Jonnu Smith for Jerick McKinnon when I have Gronk, or just pick up Hasty?
Just pick up Hasty. I mean, we saw it today. I mean, McKinnon didn't do anything, and you cannot trust this back. You cannot trust Kyle Shanahan with anything. Like I mentioned, Tevin Coleman could very well be back this week as well and be inserted back into this offense, or even be the lead back. So I wouldn't go crazy. You know, I would hope that maybe we get some sort of news what they're going to do with Tevin Coleman this week before waivers run. If we do, if they're planning on activating him, I would probably lower Hasty down to where I view him, but who knows? Because I don't think anybody expected Jeff Wilson to be the lead back today, but they kind of just go with the hot hand. And whenever that happens, I mean, it kind of ruins everybody else's day. Because like I said, but before Mostert came back, and that time that he was out before, like Jerick McKinnon operated as the every down back. And today, you know, I think some people expected kind of him to go back to that, or at least have a fucking role in the offense. And he was absolutely did do nothing really until Jeff Wilson came out of the game, or until Jeff Wilson got hurt. So, you know, as of right now, like, no, like I'm definitely not trading a top 5 tight end in Jonnu Smith, which is absolutely rare than, you know, for Jerick McKinnon, who we don't even know what his role is going to be.
Yeah, don't do that. Hold on to Jonnu. He came to this game banged up, so don't let this game or your desperation at running back get the best of you. So, like I said, Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll be coming out with the buy-sell video. We'll be going live again on Wednesday, and we will have written content coming out on the fantasyauthority.com in between then. So until Wednesday, we will talk to you guys later and hope you have a good rest of week 7. Bye.